Hello and welcome to the Audio Time Capsule, episode 5. For those of you new to the show, I'm comedian Simon Kane, and this is the podcast where I bring on a guest, I get them to leave 20 questions for their future self, and then a year later bring them back on to answer them. I then edit it so they are talking to their past self. All past voices will sound like this. Hi Simon, happy 2017. All future voices will sound like this. Hello past Simon, it's actually 2018 now, but thank you very much for wishing me that slightly late. Better late than never though, isn't it? Time travel's hard. I thought that would be a really good way of introducing the first episode in the new year. It's backfired somewhat, isn't it? In this episode, we have writer and comedian Athena Kugblenu, who has had an interesting year, consisting of a lot of personal changes which have left her in a better place professionally, romantically, and within herself. I don't want to say much more, but I found this one really interesting and really inspiring, and I really liked how reflective she was, as well as how funny she was about how her year has changed her. Before I hit play on the podcast, please, if you're new here, do remember to hit the subscribe button. If you're old here, please do give us an honest, positive review in iTunes, and either way, do consider joining the Facebook group. But for now, let's open the time capsule of Athena Kugblenu.
Hi, my name is Athena Kugblenu. Today's date is the 15th of August 2016. I am currently sat in a hotel opposite Simon Kane. I'm feeling a bit sleepy. I've had my coffee.
Hello, I'm Athena Kugblenu. I'm in a flat in Edinburgh. The date is the 26th of August 2017. I'm intrigued to hear my questions again because I don't remember them. So I'm interested to see what I was saying to myself a year ago, to see if I'm still saying the same things to myself now. I suspect I probably am.
Athena, answer me honestly. Have you actually sat down and written a treatment for a radio show, something that could be maybe like 2 or 3 parts, and sent it to the BBC and developed it? You probably haven't.
Oh, I should have thought more of myself, because I have, but it's on hold. So it's something that's going to be revisited. Ooh, how honest I want to be here about this. Yeah, so I've written a treatment, and it's very detailed, and it went back and forth between myself and individuals at the BBC. But before the Fringe, I just said, stop, I can't work on this anymore. And now I'm really mad because, not mad actually, I'm actually happy because so many of my friends and peers got things commissioned in the round that I decided not to submit something for. But at the same time, I feel like this is really cool because it makes me feel really positive about going to the next round of submissions, because I know that they will look at good ideas, and it doesn't matter if they're from new people or old people. But yeah, man, I did loads of work, but I just I mean, I don't want to discuss why it's getting cold feet, but I just decided that I was better off working on my show in the lead up to Edinburgh than kind of fleshing out a treatment where I didn't quite feel comfortable with what it was that was being well received and what wasn't being received as well, if that makes sense. Because that's how it works when you're working with commissioners. They have an idea of what they want and you have an idea of what you want to do, and there's an element of compromise that I'm still learning about. But I feel better about working on revisiting this after the Fringe, especially having done my show and thinking I know a bit more about myself as a comic and where I want to be and the things I want to say.
Have you taken acting classes? Because you can't act, but you get lots of opportunities. You're on spotlight. Comedy's a hard game. Acting needs to be studied. People study for years. Have I learned how to act?
I think it's hilarious that I have no memory of asking this question. But it's a good point. I've done improv classes, but no acting classes. That's definitely something I need to do. The improv classes have helped me loads, actually, with my performance, which I'm really happy with. And I do improv now. Like, I'm part of like an improv, I don't like the word troupe, but that's what they're called, guys. They're called troupes, which happened by accident. And I dipped my toe in that water. But yeah, I haven't done acting classes. That's really interesting. But they're so expensive. Oh my God. But I'm a more accomplished liar, if that helps, which is the same thing, right? So the answer is no, I guess. But I have been doing things to kind of self-develop my acting and so take better advantage of those opportunities. But yeah, I need to do an acting class. I should probably write that down into my proper to-do list and not my virtual one, which is what this is.
Is your 45 minutes now an hour? That is amazing, and making people happy and educating people, but also making them think.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if it's excellent or perfect, but I definitely wanted to come here with an hour that made people think about themselves. I was served by world events, really, between the last recording and this recording. Like, so much has happened. It's been everyone is thinking about the world and politics and what the planet's going to look like in not even in a year's time, like tomorrow, so I've been served by a kind of a greater animation in the field of people thinking about race and politics and identity and the divisions that we have. And I really like my hour. And what's crazy is there's only a little bit of my last year's show in this show. It's mostly all new, which again is more of a response to world events than any kind of invention from my brain, because a lot of my show is topical. I think that kind of, you always want to be relevant as a creative person. I think I'm really happy that my hour is relevant. Probably less happy that it probably won't be relevant for much longer, so I have to rewrite the thing. But yeah, it is now. I really like my show. The only thing that disappoints me is that, we've been in Edinburgh for a month and my show is better now than it was sort of 2 weeks ago. But I think that's inevitable. But I'm really looking forward to what I do with my show afterwards. I really think it's an hour that I really like. I haven't read my reviews, so I may change my mind when I get back home and read my reviews, but I like my hour. I don't know if anyone else likes it. The audiences like it, which is nice.
Have you found the writing partner? And I'm asking you this because you write better with other people, but you don't do it often enough. So, have you approached somebody that you have vibes with that you think, hey, we could write together and drink coffee and have a good time?
I just met this target 2 days ago. How funny is that? I had no idea that I was working this deadline. Yeah, so I've actually been doing more writing with other comedians, but I haven't got like a specific writing partner. But I was at a gig with someone who's a comic, and we were just like, oh my God, we need to write more. Like, we need to write together. We got, so we got the right same energy, and like he was talking about my material and adding stuff to my material, and I was thinking this could actually work in the future. Yeah. So I'm gonna chalk that up as a win. A tentative one at that, because again, I'd forgotten about that question. I didn't know we had homework, Simon. I didn't know this was actual homework. I just thought these things happen organically. But yeah, but I've definitely written more with other people, partly because my show was self-directed. I didn't have a director this year, so I was relying on feedback from comedians particularly to help me with it. So I will say that yes, I have, but I get a D for effort. A for outcome, D for effort. Pure accident that's come about. So hopefully that's the start of something that is going to be really helpful, if not to produce joint work, just to help each other with the work that we're doing individually. Oh yeah, it's definitely. I'd still like a long-standing collaborative partner, but mainly for non-comedy work, so like sitcoms or script writing or developing ideas, because I think the reason why it takes me a long time to develop treatments and things like that is just I work better with other people. When it's my own voice, it's really easy to work alone. When you're trying to write something that is a bit broader, it's way easier to work with somebody else. It's the work rate. You churn out material way quicker. And when you have a back and forth with a commissioner or producer, that back and forth could be you with a writer. So it just saves so much editing time, right? Because you're editing whilst you write. Whereas when you work by yourself, the editing process doesn't happen so smoothly. But I guess I said earlier that these things happen organically. And I actually think they do. I don't think you can go out and ask for one. But eventually you find someone who you're like, we need to write together. But it's something I think is can be very fruitful, and I still aspire to have that.
Have you performed internationally? Your comedy can probably travel more than it does, particularly because you've got a brother in Melbourne that you haven't visited in 6 years. He's always coming over here. Why aren't you going over there and taking advantage of that? Yeah, and New York as well. New York and Melbourne are two places that I think you should be performing in, because you've got people there and they've got gigs. So there's nothing to it, right? You've got a passport, go.
Yeah, again, another one that I did by accident, because I went to Johannesburg this year. So that was an amazing experience, because I think if you're going to gig internationally, it's probably, I think for me, my comedy, I couldn't have picked a better place to test myself performing abroad and at a festival as well. So it was, didn't even pay for it. It's just I got paid to do it, which was really such a privilege, man. It was a privilege. And that was a result of my last show, because the director saw my show last year and just said, yeah, we'd like you to come over. I was like, I'll think about it. So I have performed internationally, and I haven't gone to see my brother in Australia yet. But I guess those things are always going to be available to me. But going to South Africa was I think, I don't know if I won't say 1 in a million, but I'll say the chances of that happening and the way it happened, definitely something I was very lucky to get the opportunity to do, and to kind of like really enjoy my time there. I was like, I could do this more often. So yeah, chalk that up as a win. Yeah, Did I perform internationally? Yeah, but was it in New York or Melbourne? No. So, but you know, it was South Africa, which I think is a good alternative.
Have you performed at a kind of reputable theatre? I mean, the one I'm thinking of is Soho Theatre, because you know your show is decent, and it could be performed somewhere where people want to pay tickets and watch you and become a fan, and you should be kind of exposing yourself to those kinds of scary risks, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting that I name-checked Soho Theatre, because I obviously haven't performed there. I've hosted stuff there, so I've been asked to host stuff, which is really nice. But yeah, I'm on paid Fringe this year. I'm on Underbelly, which I never thought I would do, but I couldn't get a free room. And I wanted to come up this year. I think momentum is a big thing in comedy. I think if you feel like you have it, you should just invest in it, and it's all an investment. The idea is that by the end of it, you get a return on that investment. So yeah, I would say Underbelly was a bigger risk than anything else I could have done. I've generally decided to put a price on my comedy now. So when I did Brighton, I did it was paid. I charged people to get in. I feel like it's a better way to find your audience. You know, as comedians, we tend to give our stuff away for free quite often, which devalues it. I think we spend a lot of time writing and performing and honing and writing, performing and thinking and driving, and there's value in that, and I don't have a problem with filling a room full of people and not charging them to get in, but I also think that we should remember that what we do has value. So yeah, and also just generally I've been doing better club gigs, so I've been booked at the Glee now, I've done my first gig for the Stand, and those are really exciting things. So you know, I'm feel a lot more comfortable putting myself on those platforms. Which I know people be like, they're just clubs, Athena, but you know, my brain, like, yeah, I'm a project manager, so when you're doing clubs that have these reputations, it's still like, for me, like a really cool thing. So yeah, I'd say I've definitely I've put a price on my art, so to speak, if that doesn't sound too ridiculous, and I've said pay for it, and you will get your money's worth. And doing that for an hour every day for a month is as stressful as you can imagine it is to be, just selling tickets and whatever, but I think worthwhile. And you find your audience that way too, because people invest in you. And actually, what works better is because people have invested in you, they tend to become more interested in what you're doing next. So I've noticed as a result of doing Underbelly, like, it's little things like more Twitter followers, more Facebook likes, because people kind of feel like I can't really put a finger. It's like there's more credibility there. So they've paid their money, they've seen it, they think, oh, we're great, we want to see what you're doing next. Whereas when I did the Free Fringe last year, I must have performed to more people because I had a bigger room and I was filling it up more easily. But I'm not sure if people then remembered what they saw in the same way they put the money in their pocket and they left. So I think in terms of people being interested in you as an artist and wanting to know what you're doing next, something about the paid Fringe makes that, it cements that relationship more. So yeah, I think I would say I did do that, and it's come with more stress, but it's definitely come with a few more rewards. I think industry people do go to the Free Fringe, and we know this because Free Fringe shows get nominated for things and they get reviewed, but there's a limit to the venues that they'll go to because they'll only go to decent venues, for obvious reasons. You have to obviously have a good time, and there's a huge competition between comics to get the great rooms at great times, which is why I'm on the paid Fringe, because I couldn't get a good room at a good time. But yeah, industry is always going to prefer going to a paid venue because there's the credibility that's attached to it makes it feel like a better use of their time, which is not necessarily fair. Well, it isn't fair, but that's how it is. But also the act of giving somebody a ticket for free is instantly seen as a more attractive act than I'll come to my free show where there's no reserved seats or anything like that. So it's the psychology of buying a ticket and going to sit in a room is more attractive to industry. So I've definitely benefited from that. I'm sure I have. Although I did ask to not know who was in my room when I performed. So I didn't know if there was people in my room who were like important or significant or anything like that. I think industry are more likely to come to watch you if you're in a paid venue, but that doesn't mean they won't watch you on the Free Fringe at all. It's just more likely on the paid venue.
Have you been writing and sending stuff into News Quiz and News Jack? Like, this is the thing that is amazing, because the BBC want comedians to write for them, and they all have email addresses, and all you have to do is write a joke and email it in. So why aren't you doing more of this, Athena? You should be doing it every day. Like, not even in a year's time. Do it now. Do it after this podcast is finished. Write a joke about something. Look at Brexit. Do you know what I mean? Like, write it. God damn it. Have you even written those jokes?
Yeah, I actually did submit quite a lot. But then when it didn't get aired, it just made it into my show. So I probably could have done more. Yeah, I will say that's a 50% win, because I was quite enthusiastic for, I think, the last season of News Jack. I do have a writing session for News Quiz in the Diary, which I'm really happy about in September. So yeah, half a win for that, I think. Could have done more, but I got a bit bored, and then I just put a lot of the stuff that didn't get aired into the show anyway. So, you know, like it's so hard to write generically for me. I write so much from my voice and with my biases and stuff like that, and just being a great joke writer is something I'm still learning how to do. So yeah, I would say like half a win, and that's generous. But I think I got one-liner, which is not a great hit rate at all. Yeah, that's a terrible hit rate. But I think the success of doing stuff like that is the writing. You know, you don't getting something broadcast is obviously a fantastic thing to do, but if you spend 15 minutes or even 15 minutes a week just writing, that's better than not doing that. So yeah, like a lot came out of my writing on topical stuff that went into my show or went into what I do in, you know, my sets, in my club sets, but not a lot went out on air. Which is understandable. I do write a lot about white supremacy and stuff, and I think they're looking for stuff that's a little less on the nose.
Have you paid off your credit cards? I know they're interest free. I know you keep transferring that balance, but you know what? Just pay them off. Earn a bit of money, get a check through the post, and just pay off your credit cards. I think, to get rid of them.
This is not comedy related. What the hell? Why would I say this? The answer is no. I just transfer that balance, man. Look, interest rates are like 0.25%, so I'm not even thinking. I have way less debt than I had last year, way less. But there's a couple of things I'm like, why would I pay that off when I can go out and spend a month at the Fringe? You know, I'm on a paid Fringe venue, so there's no way I can pay off my credit cards. I got to pay the venue. So yeah, sorry, 2016 Athena, you still got credit card debts. But don't worry about that. You're doing better than you was last year. Until that settlement comes through from Underbelly, then it might all go wrong again.
Have you run a half marathon in 90 minutes? Like that's an achievable thing, man. You done a half marathon in like 1:47, and you literally just got out of bed and did it. So, you know, with a bit of training, bit of hill work, come on, run up Ali Pali every Sunday morning, and you know that could work. And maybe by the end of it, you'll get a nice little medal and a 6-pack, which would be nice.
Why would I say these things to myself? Again, not comedy related at all. The answer is no, but I'm pretty speedy at the moment. Do people care about this? Oh, Simon's nodding. People care. I haven't done a half marathon this year. I haven't had time, but my 5k time's gone down to 21 minutes, which is kind of good for 5k if you care about these kind of things. Yeah, so if you do a 21-minute 5k, of course I can do a 90-minute half marathon. I just haven't had the time to do it. But I've been running a lot whilst I'm in Edinburgh because it's quite I live near Holyrood Park, which I think is really nice for a run because it's got steep uphills but consequently steep downhills. So it's quite nice for training. So no, I haven't done that 2016 Athena. But God, man, like, why would you say that to yourself? That's a ridiculous thing to say. You know, there's so much. We have better things to be doing with our time. I'm not an athlete. Oh, my Mo Farah.
This one was a bit corny, but like, you recently dumped somebody, so like, have you just like replaced that guy? What's you know, if you're gonna dump someone, have like, you know, there's a vacancy now, so go out and recruit, Athena. That's quite sterile, isn't it? Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, like just generally to open. I work hard and I write a lot of comedy and I do lots of other things, and sometimes actually life is, if your personal life is right, your professional life sometimes follows because your head's in that right place. So just to open my mind to just relaxing and, you know, not thinking too much about constantly achieving stuff. Even though this whole podcast is about achieving stuff, sometimes you have to sit back and let nice things happen for you outside of your professional ambitions. So basically, are you getting any? Is the question I need to be asking myself for the future.
The answer is, you know, to that question, the answer is yes. No, that's a tell. Look, man, are trash. No, I'm joking. That's a weird question for me to ask. I did dump someone. I swear to God, I'm trying to remember who it was. Who was that guy? And it was 2016. Anyway, I can't. You know what, man? You know, bygones, isn't it? Yeah. No, like, I think what I said about personal life being important is very true. When you're content in your personal life, that does impact your professional life, no matter what you do for a living. You always have to remember, we're not put on this earth to make money and buy nice things. We're put on this earth to do other things, and it's important to have like balance. So yeah, like I have more contentment now, so I'm probably more content than I was last year. But yeah, like, I'm single now, but that's so awful. Replace him, you know, like an intern. That's terrible. 2016 thing was not a nice person. I don't know if I'm any nicer, but 2016, bad Athena. I shouldn't have said that. Bad question. I feel very bad. I must have been very, maybe a bit bitter. And I don't even remember. I can't have been bitter because I'm not that kind of person. But yeah, bad question. I take it all back. It's not a nice thing to say. It isn't. It's a terrible thing to say. It's a terrible way to think about people. Or it's a terrible way to think about a person who you can't remember who he is, which is equally terrible. I should probably stop answering this question. I just sound like an awful person.
What memory makes you the most happy from the past year?
Comedy-wise, probably go back to Johannesburg Comedy Festival, because it was, it's beautiful. I mean, hanging out with amazing comedians, performing to amazing audiences, travelling around, being treated like a VIP, staying in a 5-star hotel, just sort of the breakfasts, man. Like, I will mash up a hotel breakfast. So I would say, yeah, eating a beautiful breakfast in Johannesburg with a beautiful view of the city, thinking about, how lucky I am to have started something a few years ago and for it to have taken me there. Stuff like that encourages you to keep going. Anything you can do that encourages you to keep going is a really good thing. So that would be one of my happiest memories, yeah.
Athena, were there any opportunities this year that you said yes to that you now regret doing?
No, I don't. I think the good thing about comedy is it comes with very little regrets because you learn so much from all the mistakes you make. In fact, comedy is the one art you improve by doing it badly, whether that's going to a bad gig or dying on stage or maybe working with someone it doesn't work out. So I can't think of anything that I've done comedy-wise that I think I wish I didn't do that. I just, that doesn't mean to say I haven't sat in a car for 4 hours, gotten to a gig, gotten 50 quid, spent 50 quid on petrol and gone home and thinking, well, that was a waste of time. But I also think that it's never wasted because, as you've done it, you've built a relationship with someone who has seen that you've done it. People, as comedy is a very, can be quite shallow. Some people who see you travelling around and gigging, there can be benefits in that too, because I'll be like, oh, we want her to come perform on my gig. No, I think that there are very few. I don't think anyone should regret anything in comedy. There's no right way to do it. It's not like project management, you do something right or wrong. So there's nothing, I can't think of anything genuinely that I've regretted in the past year.
Was there anything you said no to that you now regret not doing?
I get a lot of, bizarrely enough, I tend to get opportunities to audition for American acting opportunities, which I decline because I can't do an American accent. And I suspect that at some point I'm going to have to bite the bullet and take some classes and deal with that, because there are so few opportunities for sort of black female comedians and actors in the UK. There's a reason why I keep getting sent American opportunities and not British ones, and the best way to take advantage of them is to have the required skill set. But I don't regret it too much because I also feel like my headspace is not there. I don't want to work in America, I want to work in the UK. I'm not an actor as well, so but I would like to sort of better take advantage of those opportunities. Like I've literally flat out said no, I'm not doing that self-tape, I'm not doing it. But you never know, like maybe I should just do them. But I don't really even regret that too much. I tend to say yes to most things comedy-wise. Stand-up comedy-wise, I will do a gig. There are some gigs now I won't do. I'm definitely a bit more selective. But generally speaking, if you give me a stage and a mic and people and put a bit of money in my pocket, then if it can fit in my diary, I will do it because I enjoy it and that's my job.
So if you could come back to today and talk to me, what advice would you give me to help me over the next year?
That's an interesting one. I think I'll just keep going, but you can never rehearse too much for your show. You can never preview too much. So, and relax. Like Edinburgh is, my whole focus of this year was Edinburgh. When I came up last year, it was to do my 45 minutes every day. So I knew how Edinburgh would work. So I would be well prepared to do an hour this year and just relax and enjoy Edinburgh. I wasted a lot of time maybe in the first week in this weird sterile box environment that I had in my paid venue, being nervous, I guess. But it's like, it was silly, and I think my performances suffered from feeling like I didn't belong there. But of course you belong there. You've written a show, you previewed it. So relax. The show is good. You've previewed it. Everyone likes it. It's not in your head. It's a good show. And just know that in Edinburgh, people don't laugh. They don't like to laugh. They do sometimes, But generally speaking, it's a little more reserved. So don't take that stuff personally. Just if everyone's seen the show and they like it, if your manager likes it, and if people around you like it, then don't worry too much about the audiences in Edinburgh being a bit subdued, because this is a very strange environment. So just relax and enjoy it and keep going. And, you know, if you get positive feedback, kind of always draw back on that when people are staring at you wide-eyed and silent. So that's what I'd say to myself.
That was Athena. I loved hearing her take on putting a price on your comedy and knowing your worth, and having the gumption to say, this is what I'm worth, this is what my art is worth, please pay it or don't come. And I really liked her talking about how she was finding her feet within the industry on the writing side of stand-up, and it was really great, really nice to get into someone's mind and hear their take on the creative process rather than just seeing the final result. I totally agree completely, as I did with the Lauren Patterson episode, that your personal life being in a good place leads to your professional life being a good place, and it's great to see her in a great place in both of those areas. I'm really happy for her, and I'm really glad at how hard she's worked to get to that. So congratulations, and I hope other people found it just as inspiring as I did to work as hard as I can to make my life as happy and as fulfilled as I can. If you're new here, please do hit the subscribe button. If you're old here, please do give us a review in iTunes. They're really helping. Genuinely, they future-proof the show for anyone who's new to finding it, but also they're great publicity for me to send off to guests to say, look, there are people reviewing it, there are people listening to it. If you have a minute and you have something positive to say, please do write it publicly on iTunes. If you don't use it or you don't want to use it, I totally understand. Take a minute and share this episode with someone you think will get some value out of it. All of that helps in any capacity that you're willing to offer it. Thank you so much for anything you're willing to do. Also, please do join the Facebook group. It's called the Audio Time Capsule, and it's on Facebook, obviously. I'm trying to build that up. I'm going to have unique content in there. I'm going to have sneaky trailers for different guests that are coming up, and behind the scenes information and all kinds of stuff like that. So please do join. It's the best place to sort of find out when episodes are live first, or actually no, that's subscribing, but a close second if you're not on your phone refreshing the feed every day, which if you're not, why are you not doing that? That's what I do. You should join the Facebook group, because it's also a place where we have discussions, and each week I pick one question that's related or the exact question that one of the guests asks and ask it to you and get your answers for it. So in this question, I want to talk about how Athena wanted to start writing more. And a couple of months ago, a lot of my friends were doing NaNoWriMo, which if you didn't know is a thing where people write a novel in a month by making sure they have to hit a certain word deadline by the end of the month. Did any of you take part? Have any of you started a writing project for the new year, or have any of you started looking into doing a writing project for the new year? What's it about? What are you trying to write about? Who are you doing it with? Is there something that you've written that's getting published maybe? Share your writing achievements or your writing goals in the Facebook group in a comment underneath this podcast, and we can all help each other out, and we can also talk about what it's like writing a book or a play or an article or whatever it is you're working on. The Audio Time Capsule is a Fruit That Got in Gravity's Way production for the internet. All elements were created by me, comedian Simon Kane, except for the music, which was composed and recorded by David Jordan. Thank you very much for listening, thank you very much for subscribing, and thank you very much for rating and donating if you do. I'll see you all in about 14 days' time. Bye!